it's a very important thing for you to come get your hands around, because that fallacious assumption that science has disproved God is nothing more than a tendencious use of one particular discipline. I was giving a lecture at Cornell, and a young student came up to me and she said, "I don't understand what you all are talking about." She said, "I live every waking moment as a scientist. I am a scientist. I live, drink, breathe science. You're asking us to move into metaphysics and philosophy. I don't understand that." I said, "Can I ask you a question?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Have you ever worked in a lab?" She said, "I did." I said, "What discipline of science gives you the imperative to give honest reports on your findings?" I said, "Can you tell me what book in physics tells you that because of science you need to be honest?" I said, "You're already dealing with metaphysical realities. In fact, you're dealing with spiritual realities. The fact that you're called to be honest has very little to do with physics or chemistry or biology. You are using then value judgments and the philosophy and the notion of truth." I said, "How would you ever like it if someday you find out that actually scientists had the cure for cancer, but they never ever decided to tell us because they wanted to continue to be scientists and not philosophers. So they never told us the truth." I said, "How atrocious would that be?" Here's the application I want to make, and I want you to hear me carefully. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., when he won the Nobel Prize, made one of the most powerful speeches you ever want to read. And he said this: "I refuse to believe that man is mere flotsam and jetsam in a river of life. I refuse to believe that mankind is so tragically bound to the starless midnight of racism and war that the bright daybreak of peace and brotherhood can never become a reality." He ended that speech with these words: "I believe unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word in reality." What an incredible statement. Now I ask you, unarmed truth and unconditional love does not come from science. In fact, science will give us more and more sophisticated instruments to ultimately be able to destroy. And it was a naturalist, Aldous Huxley, who said, "We are living today not in the delicious intoxication of the early successes of science, but in the grisly morning after, where it has become quite apparent that what science may have actually done is to introduce us to improved means in order to obtain hitherto unimproved or deteriorated ends." In other words, science can give you the means. It is going to be your values and your philosophy of life that will give you the ends to which you can use it. And that can only come from God Himself. And look at our world today. Take a look at what's happening in our world today. What discipline of naturalism is going to help us solve the problems if you cannot change the heart of a human being? And for that only God is big enough to do it. What God has joined together, let no man put asunder. Science and the worldviews have to go hand in hand. And the supreme worldview is the worldview that God gives to you and to me.